Good morning, students. Welcome to class 6 Moral Science. Hope you are all safe at home, children. Stay home and stay safe. Second lesson, a bouquet of love. The moral value for this lesson is universal love, reverence for old age, and respect for the environment. As we have seen in the first lesson, awareness, we saw how we care and protect our environment. In this lesson, we are going to see how we respect for old people and respect for the environment. This is a story written by Ruskin Bond. The characters involved in this lesson are Anil, a small schoolboy, and Miss Mackenzie, an old lady who was very much interested in growing wild flowers, trees, and know more about insects. She was living with her parents, brother, and sister, who had died in World War I, and she is living alone now. So let's go into the lesson. Read and enjoy this poem. The Laburnum. Just down the road from where I live, a lone laburnum grows. It does not advertise itself, unlike the cawing crows. But unlike the cawing crows, you would say, there's nothing to this tree. Its height is unremarkable, its leaves so ordinary. But come the summer, golden light is trapped within the tree. In May, the crystallized sunbeams burst out for all to see. Flashes of sunshine cloak the tree and dazzle every eye. And every puff of a wayward breeze drops gold on passers by. Even the beggar down the street smiles when he sees this tree, and for some moments he can feel a joy that comes for free. So this is a poem written by Meera Oberoi about laburnum. As you see in this picture, the laburnum is a yellow colored tree. So in summer, the golden light is trapped within the tree and crystallized sunbeams burst out for all to see. So whoever passes by this tree will feel happy by the wayward breeze and dazzle in every eye. The oaks, hunters' lodge, the parsonage, the pines, Dumbarney, Mackinson's Hall, and Windermere. These are the names of some of the old houses that still stand on the outskirts of one of the smaller Indian hill stations. They were built over 100 years ago by British settlers who sought relief from the searing heat of the plains. Most have fallen into decay and are now inhabited by wild cats, owls, goats, and the occasional mule driver. Mule driver is meaning is donkey. So the first line are the names of some of the old houses of Indian hill stations. So they were built by British people 100 years ago. So they have decayed and are inhabited by the wild cats, owls, goats, and the occasional mule driver, nothing but donkey. Second paragraph. But among these neglected mansions stands a neat whitewashed cottage, Mulberry Lodge, and in it lived an elderly British spinster named Miss Mackenzie. She was well over 80, but no one would have guessed it. She was sprightly and wore old-fashioned but well-preserved dresses. Once a week, she walked to town and bought butter, jam, soap, and sometimes a bottle of UD cologne. So, Miss Mackenzie was 80 years old, but no one can guess her age. She was living in a whitewashed cottage named Mulberry Lodge. She was wearing a old-fashioned and well-preserved dresses. So once in a week she goes to town to buy necessary things like butter, jam, soap, and sometimes perfume. Next paragraph. Miss Mackenzie had lived there since her teens before World War I. Her parents, brother, and sister were dead. She had no relatives in India and lived on a small pension and gift parcels sent from a childhood friend. She had few visitors: the local priest, the postman, the milkman. Like other lonely old people, she kept a pet, a large black cat with bright yellow eyes. So, as I said before, she was living with her parents, brother, and sister who were dead in World War I. She had no relatives and she was getting pension and small gift parcels from a childhood friend. The usual visitors who visit her were the priest, postman, and the milkman. So, the old people usually will have a pet. The lonely old people will have a pet. So, she was also having a large black cat with bright yellow eyes. Next paragraph. In a small garden, she grew dahlias, chrysanthemums, gladioli, and a few rare orchids. She knew a great deal about wild flowers, trees, birds, and insects. She never seriously studied them, but had an intimacy with all that grew and flourished around her. So, as you can see, she was having a small garden in which she was having few rare orchids, dahlias, and chrysanthemums and gladioli. She doesn't know much about, or she doesn't study much about these things, but she had interest on the wild flowers, trees, birds, and insects. Next paragraph. It was September and the rains were nearly over. Miss Mackenzie's African marigolds were blooming. She hoped the coming winter would not be too severe because she found it increasingly difficult to bear the cold. So, as she was very old, she cannot bear the cold, and as the rains were over, the African marigolds were blooming. She thought that the winter wouldn't be so severe. Next paragraph. One day, as she was puttering about in her garden, she saw a schoolboy plucking wildflowers on the slope above the cottage. "What are you up to, young man?" she called. Alarmed, the boy tried to dash up the hillside but slipped on pine needles and slid down the slope into Miss Mackenzie's nasturtium bed. Finding no escape, he gave a bright smile and said, "Good morning, miss." He attended the local English medium school and wore a blazer and a tie. Like most polite schoolboys, he called every woman Miss. Good morning, said Miss Mackenzie severely. Would you mind moving out of my flower bed? The boy stepped gingerly over the nasturtiums and looked at Miss Mackenzie with appealing eyes. You ought to be in school, she said. What are you doing here? Picking flowers, miss. He held up a bunch of ferns and wildflowers. Oh, Miss Mackenzie was disarmed. It had been a long time since she had seen someone taking an interest in flowers. So as you can see in this picture, Anil was seeing the flowers and Miss Mackenzie was showing the flowers. So when he was going to school, he was plucking the flowers of Miss Mackenzie, and when she called him, what are you doing here? He gave a bunch of flowers to Miss Mackenzie. So he was a polite schoolboy and he called every woman as Miss. So he was respecting Miss Mackenzie. Next paragraph. Do you like flowers? She asked. Yes, miss. I am going to be a botanist. Botanist? You mean a botanist? Yes, miss. That's unusual. Do you know the names of these flowers? No, miss. This is a buttercup, said Miss Mackenzie. And those purple flowers are salvia. Do you have any books on flowers? So when Anand came and plucked the flowers of Miss Mackenzie, she was asking what do you know about flowers? Do you like flowers? She was asking some question and he said he wanted to become a botanist. So the study of plants is called as botanist. So she was asking whether you know the name of the flowers, and he was very much interested to know the names. Next paragraph. So when she asked, do you have any books on flowers? He said, no, miss. Come in and I will show you one. She led the boy into a small front room crowded with furniture, books, vases, and jam jars. What's your name? Asked Miss Mackenzie as she rummaged through her books. Rummaged meaning searching. He said, Anil, miss. And where do you live? She asked. When school closes, I go to Delhi. My father has a business there. Oh, and what's that? Bulbs, miss. Flower bulbs. No, electric bulbs. Ah, here we are, she said, taking a heavy volume from the shelf, Flora Humaniensis, published in 1892 and probably the only copy in India. This is a valuable book, Anil. No other naturalist has recorded as many wild Himalayan flowers. But there are still many flowers unknown to the botanists who spend all their time using microscopes instead of in the mountains. Perhaps you will do something about that one day. So Miss Mackenzie was having a book named Flora Humaniensis. So it was published in 1892 and this was a valuable book, she said to Anil. And she also added that the botanists are only using microscope instead of seeing in the mountains. So she expected Anil to do something about that one day. So she was happy to see Anil was very much interested in flowers and she was showing the book to him. Anil said, "Yes, miss." She lit the stove and put the kettle on for tea. And then the old English lady and the small Indian boy sat side by side, absorbed in the book. Miss Mackenzie pointed out many flowers that grew around the hill station, while the boy made a mental note of their names and seasons in which they grew. Grew. "May I come again?" asked Anil, when finally he rose to go. So Miss Mackenzie was preparing tea for him and pointing out many flowers that were growing around in the hill station. So mentally he was making out the names of the flowers. And when he started to go, he asked whether, "May I come again?" Miss Mackenzie said, "If you like," said Miss Mackenzie, "but not during school hours. You must not miss your classes." After that, Anil visited Miss Mackenzie's about once a week and nearly always brought a wild flower for her to identify. She looked forward to the boy's visits. Sometimes, when more than a week passed and he had not come, she would grumble to the cat. So, as she was talking with Anil, she said, "You should not come during school hours to my house and you should not miss your classes." So, she was encouraging Anil to go to school and not to miss school. So, after that, he was visiting Miss Mackenzie once a week. And whenever he comes to visit Miss Mackenzie, he will come with the new wild flower to identify. So he will bring a wild flower to Miss Mackenzie to identify the name of the flower. So whenever Anil visited her once a week, and when he would not come for more than a week, she would grumble to the cat. So Miss Mackenzie will grumble to the cat that he hasn't come. Next paragraph. By the middle of October, with only a fortnight left before school closed, snow fell on the distant mountains. One peak stood high above the others, a white pinnacle against an azure sky. When the sun set, the peak turned from orange to pink to red. "How high is that mountain?" asked Anil. "It must be over 12,000 feet, said Miss Mackenzie. "I always wanted to go there." "But there is no proper road. At the height, there will be flowers that you don't get here: blue gentian, purple columbine." So he was asking so many questions to Miss Mackenzie that how height is that mountain, and before the school closes in October, the snow started to fall on the distant mountains. So when the sun set, the peak turned from orange to pink and to red color. So as there was no proper road, in the height there will be flowers by name blue gentian and purple columbine. The day before school closed, Anil came to say goodbye. As he was about to leave, Miss Mackenzie thrust the Flora Himalayensis into his hands. It is so valuable, he said. That's why I am giving it to you. Otherwise, it will fall into the hands of the junk dealers. So she wanted to give the book to Anil. So he will make use of it, and when he becomes a botanist, it will be useful for him to know many things. So he was hesitating to get the book. But Miss, she said, don't argue. The boy tucked the book under his arm, stood at attention, and said goodbye. Miss Mackenzie. So it was the first time he had spoken her name. So without arguing, she said not to argue. He got the book and said goodbye in an attention to Miss Mackenzie, and he said her name for the first time. Strong winds soon brought rain and sleet, killing the flowers in the garden. The cat stayed indoors, curled up at the foot of the bed. Miss Mackenzie wrapped herself in shawls and mufflers, but still felt cold. Her fingers grew so stiff that it took almost an hour to open a can of baked beans. Then it snowed, and for several days the milkman did not come. So, because the weather was not good, Miss Mackenzie was feeling so much cold, and even though she was having shawls and mufflers, she cannot open the can of baked beans because she became so stiff, and it took an hour to open the can. And because of the weather, the milkman also did not come. Tired, she spent most of her time in bed. It was the warmest place. She kept a hot water bottle against her back, and the cat kept her feet warm. She dreamed of spring and summer. In 3 months, the primroses would be out and Anil would return. So, because the weather was bad, she was spending most of her time in bed. And she was having a hot water bottle against her back to keep her warm. And even the cat also held her to keep her warm, keep her feet warm. She was always thinking of spring and summer so that Anil can come back to school. One night, the hot water bottle burst, soaking the bed. The sun did not shine for several days, and the blankets remained damp. Miss Mackenzie got a chill and had to keep to her cold, uncomfortable bed. So, one day what happened? The hot water bottle got burst and soaking the bed. As the weather was cold and the sun did not shine, the blankets remained damp, so she couldn't dry her blankets. So because of that, Miss Mackenzie got chill and she was having cold in her uncomfortable bed. A strong wind sprang up one night and blew the bedroom window open. Miss Mackenzie was too weak to get up and close it. The wind swept the rain and sleet into the room. The cat snuggled close to its mistress' body. Towards morning, the body lost its warmth and the cat left the bed. So one day what happened? A strong wind sprang up one night and opened the bedroom window. Miss Mackenzie was too weak that she cannot get up and close it. And the wind swept the rain into the room. So the cat also left the bed because the rain was coming inside. As sunlight streamed through the window, the milkman arrived. He poured some milk into the saucer on the doorstep and the cat jumped down from the windowsill. So when the sunlight has come, the milkman has arrived and he has poured some milk into the saucer for the cat. The milkman called a greeting to Miss Mackenzie. There was no answer. Knowing she was always up before sunrise, he poked his head through the open window and called again. So usually when the milkman arrives to Miss Mackenzie's house, he would greet Miss Mackenzie. As there was no answer, he was calling again and again. So Miss Mackenzie did not answer. She had gone to the mountains where the blue gentian and the purple columbine grew. So as she did not answer, the milkman thought she had gone to the mountains where the blue gentian and the purple columbine grew. Hope you understood this lesson. Bouquet of Love, written by Ruskin Bond. The moral value for this lesson is respect for the old people and respect for the environment. Reference for old age and respect for the environment. Next is let's answer. Tick the correct answer. Anil became a regular visitor at Miss Mackenzie's house because he, option A, had nowhere else to go. Option B, liked the biscuits and tea that she served. C, was interested in flowers and wanted to learn more about them from Miss Mackenzie. D, realized that she was old and wanted company. So the answer for first one is option C, was interested in flowers and wanted to learn more about them from Miss Mackenzie. Number 2, Miss Mackenzie gave the book to Anil because she, option A, wanted him to sell it to a junk dealer. Option B, felt that Anil would cherish it, read it and take care of it. Option C, did not like the book and wanted to get rid of it at the earliest. Option D, was shifting to another city and did not want to carry it with her. So what will be the answer? Option B, felt that Anil would cherish it, read it and take care of it. So answer will be option B. Answer these questions. So answer these questions will be sent in a PDF format. The notes and answers will be sent in a PDF format. What qualities do this show? Miss Mackenzie. So the answer for first one is option C, was interested in flowers and wanted to learn more about them from Miss Mackenzie. Number 2, Miss Mackenzie gave the book to Anil because she, option A, wanted him to sell it to a junk dealer. Option B, felt that Anil would cherish it, read it and take care of it. Option C, did not like the book and wanted to get rid of it at the earliest. Option D, was shifting to another city and did not want to carry it with her. So what will be the answer? Option B, felt that Anil would cherish it, read it and take care of it. So answer will be option B. Answer these questions. So answer these questions will be sent in a PDF format. The notes and answers will be sent in a PDF format. Next, let's think about it. What qualities do this show? Miss Mackenzie. Her dresses were well preserved. Let's think about it. What qualities do this show? Miss Mackenzie. Her dresses were well preserved. So this shows her caring nature. So the answer will be caring. She kept a pet. Why she kept a pet? Because she was lonely. So the answer for this will be lonely. She grew dahlias, chrysanthemums, gladioli, and orchids. These are the quality of hobbies. What hobbies she had? She grew dahlias, chrysanthemums, gladioli, and orchids. She grew so many flowers and plants. Fourth one, she thrust the Flora Himalayensis into Anil's hands. So what does the quality show? She had a trust on Anil that he will take care of the book well. Next is Anil. He greeted Miss Mackenzie. So what quality this does show? He was a polite schoolboy. So the answer will be polite schoolboy. Sixth one, he made notes of names and seasons of different flowers. So he had an interest of knowing names and types of seasons of different flowers. So the interest of him can be seen in this. Next is, what will you do in these situations? Stick anyone. While walking back from school one day, you see an old man trying to cross the busy road. You will, option A, rush to his aid and help him to cross the road. Option B, request a policeman to help the man. Option C, take no notice of the man and keep walking. Option D, ask him to be extra cautious as it is a very busy road. So what you should do? You should rush to his aid and help him to cross the road. So answer will be option A. Rush to his aid and help him to cross the road. Second one, you see some children planting saplings. You will, option A, encourage them by saying that they are doing a good job. Option B, join them and plant a few saplings yourself. Option C, walk away from the scene. Option D, observe them from a distance. So what you should do when some children are planting saplings? You should join them and plant a few saplings yourself. So answer will be option B. Join them and plant a few saplings yourself. Third one, you have a beautifully illustrated book on birds. Your cousin, an avid bird watcher, visits you and you show him the book. He likes the book so much that he asks you if we can keep it. What will you say? Option A, I am sorry but I cannot give it to you. Option B, why don't you buy a copy from the market? C, sure, I will be happy to give it to you. D, you can borrow it from me whenever you want to read it. So what you will say? So you can borrow it from me whenever you want to read it. So option D will be the answer. Next, let's do and learn. E, all of us have a responsibility towards protecting our environment. Write what you as an individual can do to protect the environment. So whenever you are free, you can do this as an activity. So what are the responsibilities towards protecting your environment? Keeping your environment clean and protecting them by not cutting. And so next is, your neighbor is an elderly woman. She lives alone and longs for company. What can you do to bring a smile to her face? So when your neighbor is an elderly woman and she lives alone, you can go and visit her and give her some company by discussing your hobbies, your interests, and you can ask any doubt if you have. So you can accompany them, whoever is lonely, and help them whenever needed. Next, Mark Twain said, make your vocation your vacation. Think closely and write down what you like doing the most. Then list all the career options that are related to that field. For example, if you love being around animals, you can list the following. So if you love being around animals, so what are the things you can do? You can become a wildlife photographer, or else a pet shop owner, a veterinarian, wildlife conservationist, animal trainer, handler or a breeder, owner of an animal care center. Next, wise words. Spread love everywhere you go. Let no one ever come to you without living happier. These words are said by Mother Teresa. Choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. These words are said by Confucius. We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. These words are said by Winston Churchill. Next, newspaper report. Read this article. It appeared in 2011. Arjun Vajpayee, youngest on Mount Lhotse. A 17-year-old Noida boy, Arjun Vajpayee, who had climbed Mount Everest last year, has become the youngest person ever to reach the summit of Mount Lhotse, which at 8,516 meters is the fourth highest peak in the world. Arjun had climbed Everest as a 16-year-old last year, but his record was shattered about an hour later when a 13-year-old American reached the peak. On Friday morning, however, Arjun was unambiguously the youngest to summit Mount Lhotse, just 332 meters lower than Everest, but a much tougher peak to climb. So in this picture you can see Arjun Vajpayee. Hip hip hooray mom, I did it, Arjun said to his mother through satellite phone from the mountain top minutes after reaching the peak. I can see Mount Everest and it looks very beautiful. I am enjoying the view. This Ryan International School student is set on a career of adventure. He wants to follow in the footsteps of the legendary climber Reinhold Messner by climbing all 14 over 8,000 meter peaks in the world, aiming to be the youngest to achieve the feat. So as you can see, Arjun Vajpayee is a young boy who climbed the Mount Lhotse peak as he is only 17 years old. So this is a report in the article. It was in 2011. So hope you understood this lesson. The Bouquet of Love, written by Ruskin Bond. The moral value for this lesson is reverence for old age and respect for the environment. We should always respect the old people and also the environment. So hope you understood this lesson. Thank you, children.